All right, let's dive right in. We're going to tackle an idea today that's, well, it's a little challenging, but also incredibly empowering. It's a single theme that connects some really fascinating and totally different stories.
Whoa. Kind of hits you, right? Little intimidating, maybe? But this is the core idea we're unpacking. And stick with me, because this isn't about being pessimistic. It's really about shifting your whole perspective towards taking action for yourself.
So our guide for this journey comes from issue 84 of the weekly NishIsHere newsletter. And what's so cool is how we're going to look at 4 stories that seem to have nothing in common: a viral game, a billionaire, a famous actor, and a museum of failures, and see how they all point back to this one powerful idea.
Okay, first up, let's talk about how mind-blowing overnight success can actually become its own kind of prison.
Do you remember Flappy Bird? Oh man, back in 2013, this super simple, incredibly frustrating game just took over the entire world. Its creator, Dong Nguyen, suddenly found himself in a situation a lot like another viral hitmaker, Scott DeLong of Viral Nova. Both of them were hitting a level of success that, most of us can only dream about.
And the scale of this success was just wild. Scott DeLong was quietly pulling in around 400 grand a month. Now, the numbers for Flappy Bird were different, but the scale was totally comparable. We're talking life-shattering amounts of money from a very simple idea.
Which brings us to the big mystery here. With all that cash rolling in, why on earth would Dong Nguyen just pull the plug? I mean, he was at the absolute top of his game. Logically, it makes zero sense, right?
And it turns out, the success he thought he wanted wasn't the savior he imagined. The crazy media pressure, all the unwanted attention, this feeling of being completely trapped, it just became too much. He learned a really tough lesson. The money is not the end goal if it costs you your peace of mind. So, if massive success can't save you, what about looking to other people? Let's dig into this myth of external saviors. These people are systems we think are going to swoop in and solve all our problems.
Think about the influence of billionaires. The newsletter brings up this fascinating story from Los Angeles, where some wealthy folks made donations really for their own benefit, and it ironically ended up creating some of the city's most loved public parks. It's a perfect example of how even when saviors act, the results can be, well, complicated, and not at all what was intended.
We also look to belief systems or big organizations for that feeling of salvation. And a prime example the source material gives is the relationship between Tom Cruise and his deep, profound commitment to Scientology.
This really shows you just how deeply someone can tie their entire identity to an outside group. Cruise gives the organization credit for his whole career, even for helping him overcome dyslexia. Now, the source just neutrally points out that this deep reliance exists alongside the organization's own financial dealings and claims of misconduct, which suggests a really powerful hold over his life. It's a fascinating look at outsourcing your own salvation.
Okay, I know, this might be feeling a bit bleak. Success is a trap, saviors are a myth. So where does that leave us? Well, our third idea offers a pretty surprising and honestly a much more hopeful path forward: finding wisdom in failure.
So, get this, the Failure Museum. Yes, you heard that right. It was founded by a venture capitalist named Sean Jacobson, and it's not a place to make fun of companies. It's a curated collection of absolute business disasters, all designed for one single purpose: to learn.
I mean, Harley-Davidson cologne, Cheetos lip balm, you can't make this stuff up. But it's easy to laugh until you realize that each one of these flops tells a story. The museum breaks down why they failed, turning these hilarious mistakes into super valuable case studies on what not to do.
So instead of just waiting around for failure to happen and then trying to clean up the mess, the museum lets us study it. It even identifies these key patterns, these 6 forces of failure, to give others a roadmap of what to avoid. It's all about finding your way forward by looking at what went wrong for other people.
Okay, we've seen the traps of success, the myth of saviors, and the wisdom in failure. Now let's tie this all together for the final and most important part: making the mind shift.
The thread connecting all these stories is crystal clear. From Dong Nguyen realizing his success wasn't the answer to the messy outcomes of billionaire saviors, the lesson is exactly the same. Waiting around for something or someone else to save you is a losing game. The Failure Museum shows us the alternative. Learn, anticipate, and take action yourself. In this quote from the newsletter, it nails it. Our fear of failure, our hope for a savior, our anxiety about success. So often, the biggest fight is the one happening right inside our own heads.
And winning that battle, that's the first step.
And that brings us right back to the beginning. If no one is coming to save you, then the responsibility and, more importantly, the power is in your hands. And that's not a burden. That's an opportunity. So, the real question is, what future are you going to build for yourself?
Everything we've explored today came from just a single issue of the weekly NishIsHere newsletter. If you want more curated insights into tech, business, and culture like this, I seriously recommend you check it out. You can find it all at NishIsHere.com. Thanks for joining me for this one.